to Athletics LLC with Lamar, Lucious, Big League Chew, and my man Clyde. You're about to be schooled in all things track and field. This is experience.
Yes, sir.
We are talking past, present, future. Y'all listen up. Let's go.
Heidi ho, neighbors. Just kidding.
Oh my God.
So if you know that show, then you can survive on the show.
What show was that? What show was that, Chew? I never heard of that show before.
Oh man, Tim the Toolman Taylor. What the heck was it called? I just forgot it.
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement. Thank you. Yeah, it was Friday night. Yes.
You know, I knew what show it was. I don't know.
I know, and I totally forgot the name of it.
Because she didn't know and was criticizing the audience who didn't know the name of the show.
Anyway,
so everybody's going, it's Home Improvement, Chew. You know it.
I know. Sorry. Hi. Welcome back. Welcome to the new episode. How you doing? Let's start by introducing the titles, as always. Lamar, Black Lives Matters, Huffins. Digging the shirt, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Very nice shirt,
Good evening,
sir.
everyone. Thank you very much.
Well,
it was definitely intentional.
Clyde, how you doing?
Oh, I'm ready.
He ready.
Oh my God. I feel like Chew has had one hell of a Cinco de Mayo.
No, it's definitely not. That's the worst part.
Oh
Last but not least, Sir Lucious, how are you today, sir?
I am rolling. I am doing very well. Thank you. I appreciate you asking me.
Absolutely. Always. Well, thank you all for joining us for another fun episode. Season 2, going hard in the paint just because everybody else is, and they are serving us topics left, right, and center right now.
Oof.
So and we have to pick what we want to get fired up for.
How the kids do
What's
it?
giving us the juice.
Oof. Feed me.
So let's just go head first into the water. DK Metcalf in this meet on Saturday, right? Yeah, Saturday. Sunday. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. On Sunday. There's already some eyeballs rolling, head shaking, eyes on the ground. Let's hear it. What we got?
That was a good one. Clyde, that was a good one.
Look, I don't even know where to start with this utter foolishness. First of all, this isn't personal with DK Metcalf. I watch him in the NFL. I'm a fan. I think he's a hell of a wide receiver. This is the ultimate clown show. And I want to be very specific as to why I'm saying that, because when we did the Olympic trials topic about football players, I was on the side of, go ahead, let them run and get their head bust. You know why? There's no money in that. This is a gold level event. DK Metcalf has been granted an invitation to take a spot from someone who actually needs this opportunity to race, compete, and make money. Now, I don't know. I didn't take the time to look up DK's salary, but he's a millionaire. Okay. So why are we granting space for a multi-millionaire to go play some side hustle hobby fantasy at what's supposed to be an elite level competition? That's my first problem with it. If DK wants to go and qualify for the Olympic trials, have him take his pocketbook, book himself a flight somewhere where there's an open competition, get on Direct Athletics, sign up, and go run. Don't invite him to the race that's supposed to be important and collecting checks. That's my first problem with it. My second problem with it, it's insulting. And for all the people that are rooting for DK and claim to be fans of the sport, why? Why are you rooting for this? This is exposing just how ridiculously unprofessional our sport is. Last I checked, I can't just decide that I belong in the NFL and go get in a preseason game or a real game. I can't just show up and play for the Lakers on Friday night. Like, how does this dude just get to snap his fingers and get invited to the race? Oh, we know why. Because people think it's cute for PR. People think, oh, it's going to bring eyeballs to the TV. And you know what? They're probably right about that. More people are going to tune in to NBC to watch this nonsense because DK Metcalf is in it. They're talking about it on PTI. It's on Sports Center. It's all over the sporting world. And in that sense, cool. But you're missing the boat. It's exposing how ridiculous the professional level of what we do is. It's a joke. It's a clown show. And I am saying this very specifically. If you look at the start list, every other man in that race is a bona fide professional sprinter. If any of you fools let DK Metcalf step off the street onto our stage and beat you, you should be shunned, you should be banned, you should have your card taken away. Everybody's mission in the prelim should be to relegate DK to clown show status, and that includes Sha'Carri Richardson, who he may not be. Okay? This is ridiculous. It's insulting, it's unbecoming of our sport, and I do not understand why we cleared space for this spectacle to be taking place. Go qualify somewhere else, not on this stage.
Okay. I'll jump in there. I'm going to be a little bit more visceral at Mr. DK Metcalf. First of all, shout out to DK Metcalf as a football player because he is on my fantasy football team. He had a great year. But I will say this, right? At the end of the day, right, the dude is at best case scenario. And this is if we're giving him a large amount of leeway. Best case scenario, the third fastest guy in the NFL. Best case scenario. So if you're the third fastest guy in the NFL, you're either so disrespectful that you think that all three of those guys are faster than everybody else in track and field, or 99% of you are in the or category, or you're just so ridiculously blind to how great people in track and field are that you actually think DK has a shot at this. And I promise you, on everything I love and all that God has made good, DK Metcalf is going to get embarrassed this weekend. And the unfortunate part is that spectacle is still going to bring him some level of clout, joy, whatever it is. He'll chuckle and laugh about, "Ooh, them boys is fast." Like, yeah, they were always fast. That's like me jumping out on a football field, getting blasted by Jamal Adams, and then saying, "Ooh, them dudes hit hard." We knew that. We didn't need for a clown to run on the field, right, to get blasted by an NFL guy to find out that, like, they hit hard. So at the end of the day, for me, the biggest part of this, and you touched on it a bit, the biggest part of this is this, like, it exposes for the world the complete lack of professionalism in our sport. And I had a conversation with somebody about 2 or 3 months ago, and they used the term, and I meant to bring it to the show, and I forgot. And I told Sir Lucious, and he laughed hysterically. And so I'm going to bring it to the show. Most people in track and field are at best broke-fessionals. That's what they are. They are broke-fessionals. Most people who run track and field post-collegiately don't break even on the season financially. And at the end of the day, in the business world, if you do that 2 years in a row, you are belly up and you no longer do what you do. And it is incredibly difficult to be great at this sport. And so that's why the disrespect is so visceral, because to actually hop in a real professional track and field meet where there is actually money being offered and think that you're going to be like competitive is disrespectful, it's unprofessional, and it's insanity. And when he gets punched squaw in the face, And trust me when I tell you this, I am rooting for a stumble out of the blocks and a mediocre time for him and a Sha'Carri Richardson PB where she beats him. I am rooting for that. I am rooting for that because then I'm going to pop popcorn and then turn on all the mentions on my phone and my iPad and everything else and just laugh at how this dude is going to get taken to the woodshed by the general public that is the Twitterverse. So I'm not rooting for the clown nation of our sport because that's what it is. But unfortunately, when you allow yourself to be in a broke-fessionalism situation, that's what we get.
Well,
What you got left?
oh, okay. Well, let me see what little bit of meat is left on this bone. But let me start by like this is a win-win situation for Mr. Metcalf because if he goes to the meet and he runs well, then he's a hero. And if he goes to the meet, he doesn't run well. I wasn't supposed to. I'm a football player. I was just trying to see where I was. So it's a win-win for him. He gets to be in the media. He gets all the attention and all that stuff. I'm sure his social media pages will be afire. My extreme disappointment with this whole situation is the number of supposed, I'm gonna call them supposed track people and track experts that really think that this young man is gonna like win the race. You know, like he's gonna be super competitive. You know, I heard someone as part of a rant today talk about how because of his size, that he's not going to stop accelerating until he gets past, like he wasn't going to decelerate at all during the race, which is about the dumbest thing he ever said, because we all know that max acceleration happens between 30 and 60, and then it's a maintenance phase, right? So he's never going to slow down, ever.
No, that's just for mere mortals that are track athletes. See, those superheroes that are football players can accelerate for all 100 yards that they run.
For those people out there, I want you to stop disrespecting Michael Bates. Stop disrespecting John Capel and anybody else that played football and did well in track and field, because those guys were very good track athletes to begin with. Okay. So at the end of the day, for me, hey, I like Clyde, am offended that we allow ourselves to be a part of a circus. And this is again why people don't take what we do seriously. I am offended that the number of track people who are disrespecting our sport and really believe this guy's just going to jump off the football field, put some spikes on. I think somebody made the statement that he's been training since March. Okay, so do you think you can train for 2 months and then be the best sprinter in the United States? That's, again, it's offensive. It really is. But again, it's America. It's what we do. It'll be quite the spectacle. It will. You know, that there will be lots and lots of people that will show up. The TV ratings will be high because there's a football player running in the track meet. And Sha'Carri's got this. I'll just leave it at that.
May I add, because like I said, I didn't look up DK's salary, but I did look up his high school marks. Okay, people, DK Metcalf was a 14.6. I don't even know if that's win legal. 14.6 110-meter hurdler who also had an amazing triple jump of 46.5 in the state of Mississippi. The boy can't sprint. This is so disrespectful. Like I can't deal with it. Like I can't.
Well, I was going to save it to the end because I was going to pull a Tony Reale, but I'll give it to you mid conversation at this point. DK Metcalf he signed a 4-year contract for $4.586 with the Seahawks, including a $1.33 million signing bonus, $1.759 guaranteed, on average an annual salary of $1.146 and a half. In 2021, his base salary is $911,914, and carrying a cap of 1.25.
So in one season of his new deal, he is likely to make more money than the entire meet combined for their career.
Mhm.
So he can afford to, I don't know, fly to San Diego and jump on runner card and enter himself in a meet for free and go do his little playtime hobby. He can afford to do that anywhere in the world. Why we are granting him an opportunity to do this on what is currently Olympic trials aside, Team USA stuff aside, this is the biggest 100-meter race held in this country in years. It's gold standard meet. Everybody's in it that want, like, why are we turning that into this? It's the disrespect is ridiculous. And like I said, and Lucious said it extremely well. We got legitimate, or who I used to think are legitimate, track and field people out here co-signing the possibilities of this and rooting for it. Do y'all realize what it would say about our profession if DK Metcalf can step on the track in this race against this field and make a final, let alone win it? Like, I'm dead serious. Lamar is
Yes,
talking
it
about
would say that they're broke-fessionals.
but no, I'm talking about the idea of real sprinters. Like, you're not a real sprinter if the random footballer can step out there and beat you.
We need to stop having that discussion because it's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
And the fact that, you know, and again, this is a real comment. Like, he's going to get to 40 meters and just stand up and walk away from you. I'm waiting for this. You know, you know me, y'all know me. My Sunday afternoons are not usually spent watching TV, but it will be this week.
There are 16 total humans in the race. If DK Metcalf isn't 16th or 17th, if you count some of the women, if he's not 16th, Lamar's talking about, you know, DK getting lit up on Twitter, as he should. We should all light up on Twitter any of these professional men lose DK. Your card's getting pulled. I'm telling you, it should be like a Beyonce, fight.
Listen, we all know what's going to happen. John Drummond is waiting.
Oh, all up.
The panda is coming. So John Drummond is waiting.
Excuse me.
For the culture, people, for the culture.
Yeah, this one's definitely for the culture.
All right. Well, now that we've finished our warm-up, let's get into the real stuff. Just kidding. So
Oh no, that's about right.
I know. I'm gonna play it down so whenever we pop it back up, it's gonna be there, right? What were they thinking? What was the IOC thinking? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we're gonna let Lamar kind of give this intro since he has the shirt on. I feel like you're like super powered to do this.
Well, I will enlighten those who are fortunate enough to not be, inundated with the stupidity and the fuckery that we get sometimes. And it's not a curse word. It's not.
Whatever it is, it's appropriate.
Oh, and for the record, I actually met Micah this weekend, so behave yourself. Hello, Micah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Micah, but this is foolishness. It's tomfoolery. The IOC, in all of its grandiose nature, has decided to decree that no athletes are allowed to wear a shirt very much like this one, made by USATF, that says Black Lives Matter. And it also happens to have some really, 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 really important people in the pantheon of USA track and field history on it. But they have decided that, in particular, mind you, Black Lives Matters t-shirts, shirts, paraphernalia is not allowed to be worn
During the ceremonies.
During ceremonies, opening, closing, or medal. And besides the fact that that goes against at least two of our civil rights and constitutional rights. At least two. It also is. I thought that the quarterback for the Saints that just retired,
Drew Brees.
Breeze.
I thought that Drew Brees was the most tone deaf individual I'd seen with the comments he made. I'm now 100% sure that whoever it was that voted for and approved this idea as a statement is without question the most tone deaf person or people on this planet. In a world where, I mean, we're like this close to the world catching on fire on a daily basis with race relations, class relations, gender relations, to try and tell, mind you, they already said that demonstrations would not be penalized, but now you're telling us that specifically, mind you, okay, specifically Black Lives Matters paraphernalia is not allowed to be worn.
And if I'm not mistaken, will be penalized.
Mhm.
Correct. So where I grew up, when someone said something that stupid, they would say, where they do that at? And at my own personal vernacular, I would have to ask, how, Sway, how on the planet do these people think that they are going to do this? It didn't work attempting to silence people in 1968 who had no backing. In 2021, good luck with that one. Because I can tell you this, I know quite a few athletes that if they were to be sanctioned for wearing this particular shirt, mind you, I'm gonna say again, that USATF produced and sold, if they were to wear this particular shirt and be sanctioned, literally whatever sanctions would have to happen over their dead body. There's what we're talking about, general public.
Sir Lucious.
Have at it, sir.
The question or the segment we're doing here is, what were they thinking?
Ooh, they were drinking on Cinco de Mayo.
Very well could be true. And alcohol is another form of truth serum. So what they were
Liquid
thinking,
courage is what it is.
what they were thinking, inebriated or not, is that Black lives actually don't matter.
Mhm.
And they want to make sure that the world understands that that specific cause, that specific ideology, that specific phrasing that Black Lives Matter has no space, no tolerance, and actually to them does not. It's where I come from. Those would be fighting words when someone steps out on purpose and leans in to that level of disrespect. Now, I'm not advocating for violence, but what they actually have done here is guaranteed that you're going to see
Yes.
all of this now.
Yes.
Like right now, there was athlete X at the house trying to figure out how they can get through their training, get through the trials, get on the team, and maybe, just maybe, end up with a medal. And they probably contemplated, wow, if I actually get on that podium, what would I do? They gonna step off the plane with fists in the air and t-shirts on. It's gonna be over the top, and it should be, because as Lamar so specifically pointed out, they already decided no punishment for demonstrations. We don't like it, but we're not going to be in trouble for it. But the Black demonstration, oh, you're in trouble for that. You can be disqualified for that one. When people show you who they are, believe them.
The first
And
time.
what people, what individual athletes, what individual coaches, what individual administrators choose to do with this very overt, direct, specific insult is, you know, up to the individual. I haven't been on Twitter or, you know, I haven't been researching many things today, but if USA Track and Field hasn't put out a statement already about this, oh, you're way late. You're way late.
Way late.
You had about 2 minutes to be right. And if you're more than that, you're just late. So USA Track and Field, USOC, when I tell you that should be, these are fighting words, the fight should have started hours ago. So I don't know what's going on, but I heard what I heard. I read what I read, and it's very, very bluntly obvious what the IOC is saying here. So I like my job. I have a gesture. Imagine it, because I ain't putting it on the camera, but that's exactly what they're saying to all of us. Mutual.
I'll just say this real quick. I'm not trying to steal your thunder. I'm gonna give it right to you, Sir Lucious. If I was currently an athlete, I would buy 16, and I thought I was gonna make the Olympic team. I would buy 16 of these shirts because the Olympics is 16 days long. And I would wear a different one of these shirts every day, every single day. And I maybe put a number on them so they knew this is shirt number 9.
Okay.
To make a point.
Well, you know, I very well said on both you guys' parts. And I just, my question here is, where did this come from? Because for some reason, I just don't see the IOC targeting this issue unless somebody put it on their plate. So who put it there? And why now? And why with such just finality? Like you said, okay, you can protest. We don't want you to, but no penalty. But if you wear a Black Lives Matter shirt or so anything in that manner, you're going to be penalized for it. So I think it's idiocy. What in the entire, you know, what were you thinking? Because you, like you guys just said, you guaranteed somebody's going to do it for sure now. You know, for those of us who've been a part of Olympic teams, you have opening, closing uniforms. You have ceremony, you know, things you were supposed to wear during the medal ceremony. And you're always asked to not wear anything that's not USA Track and Field. We've always been asked that. And at the end of the day, if Lamar wins a medal and he's got his USA gear on, he's got a Black Lives Matter shirt up underneath it, what's the harm? Because here's the newsflash, folks. Black lives do matter. And when we come to grips with that, then we won't have to wear a shirt anymore. So if you don't want us to wear the shirt, then stop doing things that get you in the what were you thinking segment, because that's what in the hell were you thinking? Sorry, Micah, excuse my language.
Love it. Love it. And by love it, I don't mean it at all. So let's acknowledge our sport for what it is and what they've done this week, because they've done incredible things, and not those administrators who are supposed to help us get lifted, but the actual athletes who have done things that keep us in the spotlight for what they can do. Track is back. And, you know, every week we keep building layer on layer on layer, and it just keeps getting better. There's nothing to not talk about. So what is notable in your fresh, lovely brains to make note of?
I'm gonna start on the coast out there. What is the left coast, whatever you'll call it. I mean, there were a couple of interesting dual meets out there, and you know, we've had some talks about how important the dual meets have been to our sport and how rekindling that system would be helpful. And if you took a look at those meets, and obviously there are two different meets. One meet that wasn't, the marks were better, but the score wasn't very close. But then you look at what happened in, in the big meet, so Clyde was right in the middle of that, and how close the scores were. And I think, it was a relay here or an event there, it just came right down to the wire. And that's the competitive side of track and field that we've missed. And, Clyde sent us the link to the results, and you're going through it like, man, wow, it's just, everything was close and it was a big fight. And then you go up, down to the south, and you see the marks, that were put out at the UCLA USC duel. So I want to give a shout out to both of those groups, because the pride and the passion that was exhibited in the big meet, the number of personal bests and PBs that were laid down in that competition. And obviously there's just some absolutely retarded stuff going on with the Trojans. You got, 4 girls running under 52 seconds in the same race. It's kind of disrespectful, but but kudos to you guys. Those were both 2 very good competitions. So I'm going to start there today.
I'll get in there on that specific topic. First of all, it was, I ran at UCLA, so I had a good sense of, what it is, the crosstown battle, who runs LA. I understand what that one's like in real time. This is my first time directly experiencing, the big meet. And honestly, man, it was just awesome. Both, and this is important for people who aren't really familiar with this stuff to understand. It's only awesome because both coaching staffs and both sets of athletes commit to it being awesome. And when that happens, it's a hell of a lot of fun. Even in a COVID year where fans were limited, the energy was undeniable. And the athletes fed off of it, and they ran out of their minds. I mean, I saw so many things that made absolutely no sense. And and for me, the best race in the meet was one that ultimately hurt me the most, because the men's meet, if you look at the totality of it, the men's meet was decided by 0.001 seconds in a 4x1. If you're not familiar with old school dual meet scoring, where only the podium positions score 5, 3, and 1, and the relays are 5, 0. We had a lead, we lost the lead, and we got out-leaned on the camera by 0.001. You flip that race the other way, and the meet ends in a dead heat tie. So when I tell you it was exciting, we had about 4 or 5 photo finishes last Saturday. It was incredible. And, shout out to Stanford. Stanford won the men, Cal won the women. So we split that, those crowns there. It was just a lot of fun, man. And when you see, 200 athletes lined up from rail to lane 3 over the last 100 meters, going nuts over the 4x4, you don't see stuff like that happening on every Saturday of the year. So, as I said on social media afterwards, I don't care where your school is, I don't care what conference you're in. Pick a weekend late in the season and run head to head against your rivals every year. It's good for your soul. It's great for the sport. Just find a way to get it done. It makes everything better. And for all the people that, and there are some that feel like, oh, something like that can't produce fast times. No, sir. No, ma'am. That is not true. Because we got all up north and down south. We got all kind of PRs. And before we move on and start throwing out other stuff, my PR shout out that wasn't a part of the big meet, Jabri Harris and Isaiah Jewett of USC went to UCLA in a dual meet and ran 1:45.80 in the 800 meters. It's the fastest dual meet mark in the history of the NCAA. He is currently leading the NCAA in the men's 800. And you know what? Other than him being prepared and having a great coach and being a great athlete, that happened because he just wanted to curb stomp UCLA. He just wanted to embarrass UCLA in that moment. And that's amazing. So props to them for that performance.
So obviously I'm, before we go back around to all the other ridiculousness that happened this week, I just want to stick my one little 2 cents in it on the dual meets, because obviously I'm like the big dual meet guy in this group. For those people who say, you can't produce marks and dual meets and blah, 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 it's only because they've never been in dual meets that matter. Just understand this. The collegiate record are you listening, distance people? The collegiate record in the 5K was once set by Henry Rono in a dual meet between Wazoo and Cal. Just let that wash over you. The collegiate record in the javelin was set by Patrick Bourdain in a 3-way meet between IU, Texas, and somebody. I don't remember who the third team was in that meet. I could go on, but I'm not going to bore y'all. Just trust me when I tell you, when you have two teams that genuinely have a disdain for each other, and you put 4 athletes from each school on the track and they race, if you need more stimuli than that, then your heart pumps Kool-Aid. All the rest of the stuff we do at track meets is fanfare and fluff, right? Like, if you get smacked in the face in a dual meet, you can't hide on Twitter and this and this happened, or I wasn't in so-and-so seat. No, you was in that heat. You got smoked, period. And at the end of the day, look, I coached a young lady in the Cal Stanford in the big meet who ran 11:33, 23:30, jumped 21:2 in the long jump and lost all 3 of those events. And we ran 44:18 and lost that one too. So at the end, and all those marks qualified those people for all those people went to nationals. All the people we're talking about. So the whole thought process that you can't do it is just ridiculous. Because I'm pretty sure every school has another school that they don't like. If you put them and you on the same track with some real impetus, we're about to get at y'all and then embarrass y'all on Twitter, trust me, marks will occur. Absolutely. And at the end of the day, it's cheaper, it's smarter, it's better business. And in all honesty, it actually makes more of your team relevant, right? Where else can you find a male 45.9 triple jumper that makes a difference?
Could be all the difference.
It could be all the difference, because that 1 point could be everything. Absolutely. So, look, that's my soapbox spiel on dual meets. I love dual meet weekend. It's amazing, and I wish the rest of the country would join in to the left coast, and one of the things that we really, really do well out there. Back to you, Sir Lucious.
Well, like I said, I'm a fan. I guess I'm gonna start right over in Jacksonville, where Blessing decided to drop 22:03 and let people know she's gonna be a force, not just in the 100 but the 200. And then her homie, who also went, who's came with her from Texas Tech, moved over to Jacksonville, Divine Odududu, starting to show the form he showed back in 2019 and dropped 1988. Very, very good runs by both of them. The North Carolina A&T boys, not AT&T, the A&T boys. So let's make that clear. Let's stop disrespecting those folks. The A&T boys started to let everybody know we're still around. We're 44.5 and 44.6, so don't forget about it yet. And then probably the worst thing I saw there was Mr. Holloway was forced to run into a headwind of a 2.0 and ran 13:22 into that. So
I'm gonna need all the stat geeks to really dive into that one. 13:20 into the 2.0 headwind. Just do the math. If you know how to do it, great. If you don't know, Google it. There's a whole chart.
I think I might have those stats for you. Let me see if I can get that for you.
I know that it's well under 13 seconds with that aiding win.
From what was sent to me, let me see if I can find it here for you real quick. What was sent to me was want to say that in still wind, I'm not going to lie to you here. It was 12. What was that? I'm thinking went too far.
Off the top of my head, if you zero it out,
It's 1298.
right. If you take
Right.
the 2.0 and just make it 0,
It makes it
it's
1298. Yeah.
13.
No, I'm sorry, make zero makes it 1299. Put the
If you
2.0
flip it
behind
around,
it makes it 1285.
right.
Yeah.
So, whatever the hell's going on down there, you know what I mean? Do your thing, sir.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay out west for a second. A lot of people, coaches have different strategies, different timing about how they like to do their things, and a lot of people have been asking, where's Michael Williams? Where's Michael Williams? Is he hurt? Is he, something going on? The boy's fine. Okay, he's fine.
There's something going on.
Stepped out for his outdoor 100-meter debut, 10:03. Okay, down in the desert in Arizona. So, he's fine. There was so much going on this weekend, man. We can't just skip past what went on in LA, because, my God, in the same race, Kalen Roberts, 51-14, leading the country. Shea Anderson, 51-16, second in the country. Okay. Kyra Constantine, 51-58. Bailey Lear, 51-57. Like, USC rolled into Westwood and absolutely curb stomped UCLA in the dual meet. Like, it was disrespectful. And that's the way it goes sometimes. But from the 100 to the 400s to the hurdles, our girl Anna Cockrell had a day. Well, make sure I get this double right. Anna Cockrell went out here and ran 12:79, and then, just for good measure, just because she came back and ran 55:59 in the 400 hurdles. Like, they were on fire down there, and even the mid distances. So, hell of a show by the Trojans this weekend. Hell of a show.
Yeah, there was just too much. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, seriously, there's too many things in my brain from this weekend. Like, you got high school.
What about
I was gonna be vague and just say, like, when you got high school kids running windy sub-10s and nobody cares. Like, that's how crazy this past weekend was. Is that literally your high
and I'm
school
glad
kids?
you said that. So let me get on my soapbox for a second. The boy's 17 years old. He ran 9.99 with a 2.7 win, but not getting half or even a fourth or a third of the mentions that somebody else got when they ran 9.98 with a 4.2 win.
Oh
Yeah.
Oh, we can definitely go there.
So we're gonna hype up the 18-year-old. Why aren't we hyping up the 17-year-old? And the 17-year-old did it running with people that were grown men, whereas the other guy with a lot more win. I'm just saying.
You know what? You know why he's not getting the same pub, Sir Lucious? You know why?
No, please enlighten me.
He's not from Texas.
Okay, there you go.
And that's the least sinister answer I can give.
I was gonna say that's the one you're going with out loud.
Yeah. That's where I'm going.
I like it. That was very zigzag.
Very well said. Yeah,
because
I happened to be there and witnessed this, and the young man stuck his nose in there. And, and then see, the other thing is too is we forget about the other one that ran who's 17 as well, who ran 10:02 in the 10:04 in the final with a 2.1 tail. They're both juniors in high school.
Listen,
right?
If they were from Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, hell, El Paso, if they were from Texas, this thing would be on ESPN right now.
That is hilarious.
That's what it is. That's the answer.
Well, they hate on Florida. That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm.
We'll go with that. That's what it is.
As track and field fans, let's all be, let's be fans of Jalen Slade and Arion Knighton, because both of those young men have incredibly bright futures. Incredibly bright futures. Yeah.
And we would be remiss to not mention maybe the biggest news out of Jacksonville this weekend. Correct me if I'm wrong. I saw a wind legal 988 by Mr. Trayvon Bromell.
That wasn't arguably the biggest news. That was the biggest news out of Jacksonville.
Hey, I'm just sitting here.
So I want to remind you that we're in season 2 and you are no longer undefeated. So let that go.
I am no
Let it
longer.
go. I just want to remind you that the only undefeated person on this panel would be me. I'm undefeated, so I'm good.
I lost.
I would like to remind you that it's May. That's all I would like to remind you.
My man, like 500 grand. There you go.
It's May.
See, and here's the the caveat to it all, right? And this is the mistake that a lot of people make. With the 100 meters, if you're in shape for one-offs, that's great. But can you run the rounds?
Sure.
We've all had conversations with my man JS out in LA. He loves to say, can't run the rounds if you don't go around the track. So we're gonna find out in about 8 weeks who's been going around the track a little bit, who can run the rounds. Because that's what it's gonna come out to. And I'm not saying that Trayvon can't, because boy, he looks good. Boy, he looks good. But how do you manage the rounds from a mental and physical standpoint? And clearly he's done it before, but to Lamar's point, it's May. And when that race happened, it was still April, wasn't it? So yeah. Be interesting.
I mean, look, there were so many things that happened this weekend that, like, Elaine Thompson somehow managed to run 1078 and it not really get talked about.
1076.
Yeah.
Legal 1076.
Yes, legal. When legal. That's right.
The 1078 was wind aided, but
okay. Elaine Thompson, 1078, 1.8 meters per second, gentlemen. I'm looking at the result.
Yes.
I apologize. I missed it then.
It's fast as hell, y'all. We ain't got to argue about the semantics of it. But she ran 1078. And it was like, that whole if a tree falls in the forest thing, right? So many things happened this weekend. I think there are people who are today old. So that means 2 days from now, on Friday, they're going to find out that last week, Elaine Thompson ran 1078.
Yeah. The 1076
that's how many things happened.
The 1076 was the wind aided mark from the semifinal. Yeah.
Like, that's how many things happened. Is that I think there are going to be people that find out 2 days from now, when this show comes out, that Elaine Thompson ran 1078 last week.
Here's another one from that.
So many things happened.
Toby. I'm not going to butcher her last name. Was she on 1248?
Who's it? Toby who?
The 400, the 100 hurdle, she ran 1248.
I'm a son.
Yeah.
I think that's how you say it. I'm a son. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, listen, Toby's one of these hurdlers. Like, she doesn't get the props that she deserves because she technically doesn't represent, America and all of that. She's always in the mix. Like, she's one of these people, like, she's always in the mix. And one of these days, people are going to not be paying her any attention. She will jump up and snatch a medal from somebody. Like, Toby's good.
One of those days might be in July. Because she's what I like about Toby and always have, she's a racer.
Yes.
And hey, get your notepad out, young coaches. I'm going to give you some advice. The ones you want are the ones who can race, not the ones who can time trial. I'm not saying it's not impressive to run 9.8 or 12.3 or whatever it is. when they're not giving out medals and they're not calling your names and reading off people's dossiers. But trust me when I tell you, when you are on the start line and you're in lane 5 and they have done announcements and full dossiers of lane 1 and lane 2 and lane 3 and lane 4, by the time they get to you, you feel less good about yourself because you're hearing all the great things that they've done. And then if you're dumb enough to keep listening after they read off your list, right? And they got all the stuff in lane 6 and all the stuff in lane 7. And then it always seems to be that somebody with the longest list of accomplishments like ran bad in the semi and now they're in the final. So the last person that gets read is like Gail Devers, you know, it's like everything. You start wondering whether you're that good. You've been better than everybody all year. But I'm telling you, you want the ones that can race. You want the ones that can focus in the eye of the storm, because the ones that can time trial are just good enough to get you in trouble. Just saying.
This is true. Now for Lamar, because I know his head is filled with that rant and so many performances, he usually brings us to the field, right? And I don't know, you know, the field is not my specialty, but in the Midwest, Miss Kayla Dawson threw 1891 this weekend in the shot put and is currently dominating the NCAA list, okay, from Indiana. That's a hell of a throw. Going back west in the shot put, for me, probably the surprise of the dual meet situation this weekend was USC has a very good thrower named McKay Johnson, former Cal Bear. He lost. Matthew Katnick threw 2076 in the shot put. Only sitting currently behind, of course, Turner Washington, but that's a whole nother issue. Like, the throws were on fire this weekend. There's a lot of stuff from this all over the country this weekend.
But he did that in a dual meet? I thought you couldn't get good marks in a dual meet.
Can't listen. From the dual meet on the men's shot put dual meet in LA produced number 2 in the country, number 5 in the country, 2018, and number 9, oh no, he got bumped out, which comes to number like 11 in the country. Like the top 3 throwers in the men's shot put all put up top 15 marks in the country in the same competition. Nuts.
Oh, and just for fun, Cameron Rogers decided to throw 71-39 in the women's hammer, like in the dual meet. There was only 4 people in the meet.
I was waiting for you to get to that one.
Like, just for fun. Like, hey, you know.
She out there working on stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Training.
That's right. Cam is, you know, we've all been around great athletes and, you know, seen the work that they put in. I don't know of a high quality athlete in the sport that puts more work in than Cam Rogers. Like, that girl, y'all have no idea. She out there all the time working on her craft. Just because she wants to, just because it's important to her. I go out in the morning, Cam out there throwing. I go to lunch, I come back, afternoon session, Cam out there throwing. Like, that girl's work ethic is unmatched. And, you know, that's why she's so special. Like, she grinds for all of this. She's incredible.
Is it Asha Fletcher or Asha?
Asha, yeah. Asha.
1326 in a dual meet.
Yeah. She was
triple jump for, I'm sorry, it wasn't a hurdle mark. The triple jump.
We knew.
Well, no, but you know, the general folk might not. It says 1320 because they're like, why are you so excited about 1326 with the hurdles? Like, well, because it was in the triple jump. It just always blows my mind when people who have never been in real dual meets say things derogatory about dual meets. And it's like one of those things is like, I remember when we were in high school, my basketball team, we thought we were pretty tough. And my high school basketball coach did one of the most brilliant coaching moves ever. We came to practice and he said, no basketballs, follow me. And we went downstairs to the wrestling room and watched wrestling practice for practice. Nobody ever said we were tough ever again. None of us ever mouthed off about how hard we work.
I mean, just to that point, like, just think about it. Like, how cool would this be? I don't care where you are. Look, you telling me last Saturday I couldn't have watched Mississippi versus Mississippi State? You telling me I can't get Auburn and Alabama once a year, just head to head? I can't get that. I can't get what was it, Lucious? I can't get Florida State and Miami.
And Miami.
Three-way battle for
sure.
Florida bragging rights. I can't get that once a year.
And that would be a great.
Pay
That would
for
be
a
a great
flight
track
to go to that meet. I would pay for a flight to go to that meet every single year, sight unseen.
Like, come on.
I go to that meet every year.
This should be a movement. We should have the first weekend in May, rivalry weekend, coast to coast. Make it happen.
For sure.
That would be great.
For sure. Because what people don't understand is like every single school has a rival.
Yes.
Right. And so you would actually engage a fan base in track and field because there are fans of every college who literally will go see their college compete against the college they hate in anything. Right. If you don't believe me, turn on ESPN during the football season and watch like the Johnsonville Brats, what is that, cornhole team championships, right? They're between schools.
They are.
The facilities are full of crazy people, and think about it. It's on television only because people will watch it.
I can't get Gamecocks versus Clemson on May 1st. I can't get that. I mean, hey,
Getting cornhole.
being stated, I can't get that next year.
I'm just saying, like it would make so much sense.
And I'm going to be a little petty here for a second. I mean, so for those of you who are concerned about getting marks, you only got to be in the top 48, so you'll be fine.
He was waiting to slide
All
out.
right, don't. I'm just saying.
The petty card.
Get concerned about marks. You got to be in the top 48. So line up. Let's get the dual meets going. So I'm on your side, Clyde. Come on now, don't do me like that.
The dual meets would be spectacular.
Yes, they would.
Man.
See, I've been hanging around y'all too much, man. I'm acting petty. I apologize. Really don't.
Y'all? You mean the light-skinned cat with the pink tie on?
Oh, you're not petty at all.
Who, me? No, I'm the angry black man. Haven't you heard?
I've heard that a couple of times too. Yeah.
Oh,
and by the way, I think our buddy Javon did a little high jump this weekend, did he?
See. So a long time ago, I'm going to share this with the audience real quick. A long time ago, Sir Lucious and I, we used to compare notes about our athletes, right? But eventually we had to have a rule, like there was no Quran marks allowed to be given because he would upset the apple cart and then it would make everything that my kids did and everything that the rest of his kids did, like not seem as cool. So we would never talk about Quran. Like that's where Javon is getting. Like, I feel like he needs to have his own show. Like it needs to be like the spinoff from Athletics LLC, like it's the Javon Harrison show.
2:30 for the record. 2:30.
It made it look real easy.
He made it look like it was 2:30 in the afternoon and he had nothing better to do.
The man is phenomenal. He is.
One time, Grover Hinsdale said about Angelo Taylor, I asked him one time, how fast is Angelo? He said, as fast as he needs to be. That's how I feel about Javon. Like, I think he can jump as far or as high as he needs to.
Yeah.
And those people are just like, they're just fun. Like, you're just hoping somebody pushes them because you're like, ooh, let's see what's going to happen next.
It most certainly looks that way. And, you know, apparently we're going to have to wait till June for him to get some challenges. So, you know, kind of is what it is. And you know, a couple weeks ago, I believe it was Alumni Gold, LSU dropped their 42-7 in the women's 4x1. Well, you got some West Coast company now, because Oregon has now gone 42-97. And of course, to stack onto the ridiculousness of this weekend, USC women 42-63.
Can you give props to UCLA in that race though? Because I think America needs to know.
They ran well.
No, tell them what they ran.
Hold on, I'm gonna have to pull that.
I thought you were looking it up.
UCLA ran 43-93, which is an excellent time.
Right.
But it don't look right when it's facing 42-63.
You get beat by a second and a third.
You get beat, almost by a second and a half. Yeah.
Like,
we addressed this probably a year ago, in that we knew there were going to be some super teams out there this year, and obviously LSU and UCLA are two of those teams. And I mean, anybody that knows Carol and Dennis and Robert and Curtis, and there's a storm brewing down in Texas. I think they run 43 flat. They're coming. The 4x1 on the women's side, by the time you get to the national meet, could be quite ridiculous. It really could.
Oh yeah, no, seriously. I mean, last year, our last NCAA championship, the big question was, could somebody break 38? And the Gators did that. So we know that can happen. The question has been, could somebody break 42? LSU got really, really, really close a couple years ago. If it was going to happen, it looks like this year might be, I don't know who, because there's a few teams apparently that can go there, but this would be the year.
Somebody might break 42 seconds and lose.
I mean, that's what it's building towards.
Somebody's going to run 41.99, dipping at the line and get second. That's all you got for that one.
It's going to be. I mean, I think the relays on the women's side, both the 4x1 and the 4x4, will be monsters at the national championship. Absolutely monsters. I mean, A&M is not quite put it together yet. Get your popcorn for the conference meet, because they're going to run fast.
Oh yeah,
it's at home, and anybody that knows Pat Henry and his crew, they're going to show up at conference anyway, but they're definitely going to show up at home. That's what they do. And there's USC obviously can run as fast as they want to, and Arkansas will have a say in this. It's all said and done as well. So.
Oh, I think we're all waiting for Arkansas and A&M to, drop their foot in the middle of all this. The crazy thing about, I mean, for me, the 4x4 conversation is kind of what it was indoors. How far away can you get from Mo before she has to enter the fray? Well, hell, USC can run 4 women in the prelims and then put them on the sidelines and bring in the other 4. So, like, it's going to be.
And I think that you said something earlier that most people probably didn't catch. They had 4 girls. Slowest one was 51.99. Yeah. They got a young lady that runs 55.5 in the hurdles that we know can split 50 points
or faster, right? Like, yeah, that's like they literally can bring in a whole new squad for the final.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so like to that point, right? This weekend, my Bowerman picks the NCA&T 4x4, 44, 44, 45. And then they ran a whole different 4 guys and ran 305 in the 4x4.
And speaking of the 4x4 for the men, I'm going to say this to you again, folks. what you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, the cathedral. If you're watching it on TV, do not miss the men's 4x4 final. Because nobody noticed that. See, we talk about great quarter milers. LSU's third guy ran 45:18 this week, in Mr. Tyler Terry. And as Clyde said, he's probably not wrong about this. If they have to, they got a 19.8 guy that I'm sure can win at least one time.
Exactly.
He might not be happy about
Exactly.
it. I can hear Coach Shaver now. We running
Bro,
this for
right. Like, what are we talking about here? We're talking about LSU has a legitimate chance not to win the relay. They do. They have a legitimate chance to win the trophy.
Right.
So if you're telling me that the trophy's on the line for the 4x4, you telling me Dennis Shaver is not putting Terrence Laird on the track? Everybody, it's like English Gardner from a couple years ago. You couldn't pay English Gardner to get on the track to run the 4x4. When did she do it? She did it one time in the final at NC's, and she popped off 50 flat. Don't tell me it won't happen. If the title's on the line, Terrence Laird gonna get on the track.
I mean, that's another race. Somebody's gonna run 259, 258, and might not win.
I mean, again, that's what it looks like. Right. I mean,
in 2019, three flat got you 4.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the coldest race thus far. But I mean, right now, you got 3 flat, 301, 301, 302, and no one's run a conference meet.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And as I always say at the end of this, we definitely have left things out.
Oh, yeah,
You
I'm
know.
sure. It's all right.
Sure.
Yeah, right? And so you scour the internet, you scour Twitter, you do what you do, you know your own personal marks, but those are just the ones that we highlighted that we remembered, or they remembered, not me. That's crazy. And, pandemic, no pandemic, Olympic year, it will happen, Olympic year. Call it what you want, but it's happening because people are they're forced to compete, and they are appreciative to compete. So they're not going to lollygag it, right? So
I just want people to remember that all these marks are coming from people who were locked off of tracks, training in parks, running on the grass, running without tracks, locked out of weight rooms, lifting water bottles, like you name it, they were doing it.
That's right.
Just, I want people to remember that.
man. So in closing with our discussion format, we'll now go into rapid fire. So Sir Lucious has been summoned. He is taking his seat on the throne of flames.
Oh.
And this week I only have like 1 or 2 track related questions. So we are going to learn a little more about Sir Lucious. So he isn't such a mystery to you all anymore. We have to make him more human, not so much superstar or a superhero. So Sir Lucious, are you ready, sir?
Absolutely, my dear.
All right. Is there anything better than a gator?
Nope.
I had to give you an easy one. Have you ever bowled a 300?
Come on, big league. You're killing me. 289. 280. Look, I'm just gonna man up and tell you. Got front 10. My feet got fast. Missed my release. I left the head pin.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's how
you know what I did? I choked. Let me just say.
I was going to say it, and I saw myself, and I got scared.
My mouth was dry. My throat was dry. What the?
So for those who aren't of the bowling world, if you leave the head pin, you chuck the ball out there. Yeah. There was no form. There was no grace. There was no method. It wasn't like out of my hand.
Awful in terms of form, but it wasn't normal.
It wasn't.
That's why I call it what it was. I choked.
Got it. All right. In commemorative fashion for Cinco de Mayo, salsa or guacamole?
Neither.
Dang it! I knew you were going to say that.
You already know this dude's palate is like,
Oh,
bland
I
as
mean,
milk and crackers.
and if I have to take one or the other, it's the salsa.
Oh,
And it's probably super duper 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 mild.
Exactly.
See,
In fact, you've seen me eat super mild.
this
So
dude doesn't eat salsa. He eats like
Tomatoes.
chopped up tomatoes.
exactly.
Is it a spike key or a spike wrench?
Key.
Got it. Okay, we can survive. What is your favorite type of taco? So like hard or soft, fish, beef?
I mean,
pork?
I like, again, hard taco shell, ground beef, little cheese, little sour cream. I'm good.
You and my son can eat tacos together.
This
Yeah.
dude,
That's
here.
my guy.
Oh
Come on.
Oh my
Come on,
god.
man.
Okay, preference, cake or cupcakes?
Oh, cake.
Got it. Tootsie Pop or Blow Pop?
Neither.
God, dog it.
I mean, if you're gonna make me take a choice, if I gotta make a choice, I'm probably neither. But I might go with the Tootsie Roll. I guess I don't know.
Who are you?
wait a minute.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
EP. That's the second time that Chew has tried to slide these suspect questions.
Yes.
Yes.
For sure. For sure. For sure. She about to ask him if he's gonna drink out of a straw.
Oh my gosh. All
my
right.
God.
So your last humanity question, making you human. Have you ever had to rake a sand pit?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Many of them, and I'm actually not very good at it.
That's intentional.
Yeah, well, not really. I'm just not very good at it. I mean, I'm better now because Coach Peterson's giving me some lessons on how to properly do it. But that's never been one of my strengths.
You know who's the worst at raking sandpits? Jumpers.
Yana. Oh yeah, they for sure.
They're bad at it.
For sure.
I'm good at it.
No, the coaches are fine.
Well, no, as a jumper, I was good at it. I've only
God.
improved my skill. It's because they know how to make the mess. They don't know how to clean the mess. That's
There
why.
you go.
That's their job.
Yeah.
So, Sir Lucious, you have survived a round of rapid fire, sir.
So now I get the questions from the
Yes.
crew. And so it begins.
The door is open.
Clyde's
got a
got
simple
that
one.
look in his eye already. I know he's up to something. So.
I'm not gonna ask you nothing suspect like Chew did.
That's twice you've done that to me.
Twice.
Yes.
Making you human.
Okay. It's a simple but very difficult one. If you had to pick one Gator athlete to compete in one event and win to save your life, who would it be and what event would it be?
What?
Yeah,
There was nothing simple.
absolutely. What one Gator would you depend
First
on
of
to
all,
win?
That's an unfair question, and you know.
I know it is. Absolutely. I didn't say it was fair.
Okay, so you know what? So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go with my man CT in the triple jump. Double Olympic
See, that's
champion.
a great answer.
Yeah, until somebody sees the show and then my phone's gonna start ringing.
That's not my problem. Hey, what did you say earlier, Sir Clyde? That is a first world problem.
Yeah, most definitely a first world problem. Now see, I ain't gonna go there. I could have been petty. You just reminded me of something I could be petty. But no, rapid fire question for. All right. What do you believe the women's 4x1 NCAA champion team will run?
I'm gonna call it at 4207.
No 41s this year. I got you. All right.
Got it. It's
Now,
noted.
I didn't say there'd be no 41s this year. I said it'd be 4207 to win the NCAA championship.
No, You're right. Touche.
Ah,
Okay.
I see.
Because remember, the NCAA record was set at the SEC championships.
Yeah.
On the side. Yeah.
Well, man, that was a good one. That was a good one. Let's switch lanes to our heartbeat props. Just recognizing people who are current, who are in our lives today, and can receive our praise and thanks and grace while they're around. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I think everybody take a moment, big pause, happy birthday, belated birthday to Big League Chew. Nice try.
Oh.
Almost got away with it.
Thank
try.
you.
You tried.
You tried to sneak out.
He
tried.
So everybody send her a big, hey, happy belated birthday, Big League.
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
thank you.
Happy birthday, young lady.
Big League, may the 4th be with you.
It is every year.
I know. Right? And also with you. Just kidding.
It's
That's my church joke. Sorry. I say it every time. I don't know
Says
why.
it every
Birthday
time.
girl, let the birthday girl go first with her heartbeat prop.
Yes. Well, there are actually a few that I could recognize, but I'm going to choose one because it just means a lot for a lot of different reasons. This was the first year that my children, my blood children, ran track and field this year. And so in the pandemic year, for them to experience the sport was different. And they would ask, is this the same? Should be this way? And I'm like, there's nothing should be. It's track and field. We just do as we do, and we do what we do well. But big praise to them, to their coaches, both at the middle school and the high school level, for allowing the student athletes to have success, to experience what track and field is at its purity, and leading them to the end safely. So they had the high school, well, my daughter who runs JV had her culminating event this evening. My son will have the middle school one in this coming week. And they asked if we can work in the summer. And I'm like, oh, what? Okay, and God knows what happens when the weather actually changes and it makes them go outside to do stuff, what's being said. But, I can appreciate it. And I can appreciate, we get these kids sometimes 2 years after their high school experiences, 4 years after their high school experience, or 10 years when they've been doing AAU and age group stuff. I want to send a special shout out to the West Lafayette crew, but definitely just all the age group, high school, middle school coaches who allow their student athletes to have fun and love the sport. So thank you.
You going?
I'm sure mine is simpler than you may be closing with. So I'll jump in if you don't mind. I always tell my athletes everywhere that I've coached, they've heard me say this, that relays are, an important part of what we do. And I always tell them the 4x1 is a measure of our skill set. And the 4x4 is often a measure of our heart. And for the first time all year at the big meet this weekend, all 4 of my groups delivered real performances in the relays. And in this moment on this day, I couldn't be more proud of their execution and the heart that they showed, given everything that we've been through this year, given prior performances, and given how much they've had to deal with me being on their tails about these things all year. 4 seasonal bests: men's 4x1, women's 4x1, men's 4x4, women's 4x4. All delivered races that they can be and should be proud of. All showed skill, all showed heart. The women 4x1 have put themselves in a very solid qualifying position for the Western region. The men are right there on the bubble, and both 4x4s magically are on the bubble within range with our conference championships coming up very quickly. So, for all the grief that I've given them all year about these particular races, they deserve props for getting the job done when it mattered. and against your rivals is always the best time to do it. So major props, major respect to my crew, Cal men's and women's hurdles, relays, sprint crew. Y'all did your thing this weekend, and now we can all see the clear picture of what's to come, and I'm excited to find out where we're going to go next.
Good job, Coach. I'll go next. Mine is real easy and simple. I'm going to give my heartbeat props to a group of guys who, you talk about a mixed bag of characters. Definitely when you get these people all around each other, it's a lot of laughs, a lot of nonsense. But I'm going to give my props to the group of professional coaches here in the state of Florida. They have had no problem hosting meets, showing up at meets, going head to head, producing great performances in a time where athletes have been reluctant to race each other. They show up on the weekends, they put their athletes on the track, they bang heads, and they come back and they do the next weekend. So Brooks Johnson, Raina Ryder, Gary Evans, Lance Brahman, Derek White, my man Joey down there in South Florida. Sure I'm missing somebody and I apologize, but kudos. It's been fun watching you guys, show up, put your athletes on the track and make great things happen. So great job, gentlemen. Keep up the great work.
Well said, sir. I'm sorry. Like, these two people always get me emotional. As the three people on this show, other than me, know, it is insanely rare that I am speechless. And it is probably twice as rare as that I'm in awe. And my heartbeat props go to the two people that I was most excited and nervous to meet in the track and field world in my life. And after having met each one of them and now befriended them for quite a long time, I think they may be. You have to take Jesse Owens off the chart because his situation was incredibly different. But if you take Jesse Owens off of the chart, I think that John Carlos and Tommy Smith are the two most important track and field people ever in U.S. history. And they're on this shirt. They're on a poster that we have downstairs in my basement. But I think more so than anything else, they're on my mind on a regular basis because they set a standard in my head. And what I hope is, and this was hearkening back to last week's show about how important it is for us to embrace our history and bring our former medalists and champions back. Tommy and John are alive and well. And I think there are a vast, vast number of people in the United States who do track, young men who do track, who if they came to a track meet without any fanfare would have no idea who they are. And that, my friends, is one of the greatest travesties of all time about our sport. Because Jim Brown couldn't sneak anonymously into a football game at any level. And, obviously he's not alive, but Jackie Robinson, when he was alive, he couldn't have gone to a Sandlot pickup baseball game without someone knowing he was immediately. And Tommy Smith and John Carlos were incredible athletes, but their indelible mark on the sport is much larger, much longer, and the pain that they had to endure to get to where they were revered is it's unfathomable. Like I just like having been on a medal stand, I can't imagine having the medal stand situation be the worst moment of my life, like cause the most turmoil and the most familial drama of my life. Like I cannot imagine having that be a reality. And for those two gentlemen, like from the moment they left the podium in 68 to like the 90s, life was awful for them as it pertained to what they chose to do. And my heartbeat props go out to those two incredible, iconic gentlemen, because that's what they are. They've always been grace. They've always been like what a professional is supposed to look like and be like and stand for, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, like I think that that's what's missing from the world now is athletes who don't just stand up for causes. I think that's important, but who stand for things, who are willing to risk personal flack for a cause that's bigger than them. Like I'm not poo-pooing anybody who's standing up for justice. But when you stand for what is right for the human race and the way humans should be treated, you're going to take flack for that because everybody who ever has. And, you know, Tommy Smith and John Carlos, like I said, if I was making a time capsule or I was putting people on postage stamps, it would be those two. So that's my heartbeat props for tonight. Love you both. Not sure if either one of you watched the show. I will try to make sure that we somehow get a link to both of you.
Got it. Thank you. That was great. That was. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I was going to pull the Tony Reali card and give you some fact checking. DK Metcalf is in fact the 9th fastest top speed football player. So in rundowns per yards, whatever it is, they have a different breakdown. He's the 9th fastest time.
I think one of the people faster than him is Daniel Jones, the quarterback for the Giants.
With that, he is not in the top 10 40-yard times from the combine. So
Oops.
Let's see how this works out. To Clyde, USATF and the USOC have not made social media nor news article announcements regarding the BLM statement made by the IOC. So those are just a little bit of fact checking for you. We'll see if I stick with this. We'll see. But other than that, gentlemen, thought-provoking, very much real life telling facts this week. Not that we don't, but this was a very factual type show because of the things that were said. There's black and white to it. There's a little bit of gray, but more black and white than anything else. So with that being said, as I said last week, there are many of you traveling to conference meets and championships right now. Blessings to you, health, safety, get there safe. Do it.
SWAC championships this week, baby.
Do it. Do it now.
Go Hornets.
That's right.
Yes.
Wings
yes,
up.
yes.
Wings up.
But we will see each other next week. Same time, same bat channel. Bye, guys.
Most important thing you learn, mouse loves cake.
When the lights come on, the road just get to running. When the lights come on, opponents smash the plumbing. Heard you like it warm, hot knife the butter. Truth pin them hard, knock them off that rebuttal. Tsunami, tidal wave to your puddle. Tough love, punch you in the arms, little brothers. Athletics, double LLC, there's no others. Track and field's place and we'll peel to go further. Hey, Wally, Coyote, it's road runners. Feels like you know us, you've been with us the whole summer. If not for this quarantine, these four corners wouldn't be here, but we here, so start learning. You gotta earn your stripes, gotta get your scars. Show you how to fight, but show us who you are. You lack experience, but still you wanna talk. And who is actually talking to you? Circle's kinda small. Heads prevail when the backbone's strong. Gotta keep Becoming old won't last long. Pass and fail, then sell the sad song. And if you don't check yourself, then that's wrong. Just trying to give you the real that you asked for. So why you keep cutting us off to ask more? We put it in slow-mo, but you fast forward. Athletics LLC, the task force.